Hey, well, I guess Jack is not back yet, and I don't know. I don't know if Catherine or if Genevieve is going to make it this week or not. Okay, let's do some silk reeling. Head turns. And center and head rolls. And down to center and reverse. And down to center and back up. So, guys, I've been having a little correspondence with an old student, and he's coming to a conference in San Francisco in January, and he wanted to set up some private lessons. I said, well, that would be fine, but I'm not in San Francisco. If you care to come up to beautiful Battleground, Washington, I'd be glad to do privates with you. But what he wanted to do was work on his spine. He's got some spinal issues he wants to work on, and he wants to increase his internal power. He's been doing Tai Chi for a lot of years, and so we got into this conversation, and I said, "Well, so what you're telling me is your goals are to increase your internal power and also flexibility. So especially his pelvic area and his spine. From my point of view, those are the same thing because your power comes out of your flexibility, and without flexibility, it's difficult to do anything." And I said, in Chen style Tai Chi, and Hunyan is a form of Chen style, the specific routines to work on that are silk reeling. So what we're doing this morning. That's what you do now. There are more advanced versions of this, but this is the basic version. And if you don't have this version, then you shouldn't go on to the others because you're just wasting your time. So you got to get this version. And I said the problem is most people in the United States do, those that even know about silk reeling, do silk reeling as if it were a physical calisthenic. All right, so it's a gymnastic routine, it's a physical routine. And it's true that there's an aspect of that, but if that's all you're doing, you're not going to get everything out of it that you might get out of it. Hold on just a second. Tired of fighting that air conditioning noise. It's really an internal yoga. Yes, there is an outer physical component to it that's obviously important, but without the internal yoga, you're not really doing silk reeling. So when you do something like the head rolls that we just did, if you do them the way you were taught to do them in junior high gym class, you're probably not doing them the right way. Now, obviously you're going to get benefit from it, but you're not doing it silk reeling wise. So when you do head rolls, for instance, silk reeling wise, what should you be doing? What's the yoga part of this? The internal yoga. That's what you should be focusing on. Yeah, Jill, there is a lot of that. That's exactly right. But there are other aspects of it too. So let me just demonstrate something. And as with all things, we're talking about head rolls, but this applies to everything. It just is going to really show up in the head rolls. In the West, in 7th grade gym classes, you think that a head roll is really about rolling your neck, right? And there is an aspect of it that, yes, that's important because our necks get stiff, particularly if you don't sleep, you don't have good pillows, right? And so you're rolling your neck. But that's not really the exercise, at least not when you do this, right? It's about rolling the whole body. It's going to show up. We call it neck rolls because you got to call it something. But it's not really a neck roll. What it really is a full spinal exercise where you're moving between the dantian, the daimai and the dantian, and the tanzhong and the chest. So watch, and this is a very simplified sort of schematic version of it. It's not the only thing going on, but it's a very important thing going on. And if you get it, it will change what you're doing. When you drop down like this, you're dropping down into the daimai, the dantian and the daimai, especially the mingmen, the lower back. And then you roll up to here. Now you've come up into the tanzhong. Whether you're in the dantian or the tanzhong, one way to feel them, I put these marks on me as indicators. It doesn't mean your dantian is this size here. It doesn't mean your tanzhong is this size. So these are just indicators of where your mind should go. So when you drop down, this whole band around your body is going to fill like an inner tube all the way around. Not just back in the mingmen, not just in this center here, but the whole thing. All right? So when I drop down to begin the roll, I'm dropping down here. Now, as I come up, this whole roll is coming up my body to the level of the Tanjong, but it goes all the way around, all right, and also inside, right? So you can feel it, right? Lower, upper, lower, upper, lower, upper. That is so it's like a big pump. That pump is what lifts your head or allows your head to drop. So I'm not doing this, all right? In fact, I'm doing this. So this connects with what Jill was indicating earlier. Well, it's open and closed. Yes, yes, but that's not the only image you should have in your head. All right? You should also really feel. All right? You really feel this filling. Boom! It's very. It is very physical, but it's on the inside. All right? And then the chest, lower back, chest. But again, chest and lower back are just words. It means the whole thing, all the way around in both cases. Yeah, Kevin.
Does it not extend all the way from the ground up too?
Yes, of course. That's what I'm saying. No matter, guys, no matter what words I use, they're limited. If I put this thing on and you think, oh, well, it's something here. Well, yeah, in one way it is something here, but it's actually everywhere, right? Even this motion here, of course, that's not the whole thing, but it's a component of it. And if you are missing that component, you're missing the beating heart of this exercise. But actually, so let me go on from here. When you do this, you may feel, for instance, when you come up and this area fills, a way to think about it, guys, is it's like a ring with a stone on it, right? So you got a ring and it's got a diamond on it. There's a ring all the way around, and that's the diamond. So yeah, there's a little more attention to this point, but it's the whole thing, really. Does this make sense as a metaphor? Okay. Now, when you come up like this, yeah, the whole ring is full. There's a little more attention to this. What happens to your shoulders? Right? What just happens naturally? Well, they kind of roll backward without even thinking about it, without even meaning to do it. Right? I'll come up closer to the camera. Right? And just kind of naturally sort of go back a little bit. All right, if you feel that happening naturally, what would happen if you now cultivate that aspect of this? I notice my shoulders are kind of rolling backwards. What would happen if I roll them backwards a little bit more on purpose? Palms open, palms closed, palms open, palms closed, palms open, palms closed. Oh, now my arms are involved with all this. Well, what about my legs? Well, you should notice, I'll stand back a little bit here, right? I'm going up on the right side and down on the left. Now, when you change, right? So you're turning this direction. Now you're going to come up on the left and go down on the right. It doesn't matter which way you go. The point is you're shifting your weight. All right. Now, think about, and this is true for every exercise, think about the chi path. here to here, right? Right through here to the ground. Let's say the left leg here, and then back up to here, and then back up. In this case, kind of to the chest area. All right. So down to the ground, up to the chest, down to the ground, up to the chest, down to the ground, up to the chest. Oh, actually, there's one big spiral in your body. Your whole body is doing this. So the neck roll is just a name. You got to call it something. You could call it George if you wanted, all right? So we're going to do George today. The point is the whole body is spiraling. Can you feel it? Can you feel it from that leg? The whole body's spiraling. Does this make sense? Catherine, does this make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do understand. I do understand everything, but I don't feel the spiral. I feel something like a circle, but I don't feel the spiraling.
Well, just remember that a spiral is made up of circles. So you've got the beginning of it. If you're feeling something kind of circular, something's starting to happen.
Okay.
Sometimes you on these exercises you'll catch on to something and you'll really get it. But most of the time you have to develop it over time. You develop your awareness of it. All right. Just pay attention to my leg here, right? Spiraling. I'm not trying to make it spiral, it's just spiraling, all right? And then you can see it's easier to see my arms spiral. Watch. Right? Spiral. 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 Sometimes, I'm not saying you guys are doing this, but sometimes people think spiral means, oh, it's going like this and this and this and this. No, that's too much. Right? It's gentler than that. Right? Oh, sorry. Okay. Now we're back in focus. Right? The whole arm spirals, but it's not wrapping in 360 degrees a dozen times. It would tear my arm off. All right? It's just one spiral. The hand is just turning 180 degrees. That's just half a spiral. All right?
Could I jump in there?
Sure.
How I experience it is the sense of like a wave moving through.
Yes.
And so I always wondered if that's the correlation to, it's like, yeah, I know I'm not going to feel, like this riveting circular, but maybe it's that sense overall of like a wave just like moving through.
Well, people always ask Tai Chi teachers about Qi. What is Qi? And there are levels and levels and levels of this. But the explanation that I use for beginning students is it's the momentum you feel in your body. It's that wave that you feel in your body. That it may be many other things too, but it's at least that. All right? And you can feel that wave go down your arm. Boom. All right? My famous little dish rag here, right? It's just soft. There's no power in here. right? Unless you know how to use it. And when you use it, if we could, if we had one of those real high velocity cameras, so we could take 24,000 pictures a second, and I actually did that, you would see that there's a wave that goes down and causes the crack at the end. Tai Chi, as silk reeling, is about understanding. Oh yeah, well, you can do this. You can do it with your body, and that the feeling of that wave going down, that's your chi. It's not the only thing chi is, but it's at least that.
But now the question is, like, when you're sensing the spiraling, is that sensation, like following the sensation of the wave, is that contained within, is the spiraling contained within that wave? Or
The again, we're getting trapped in words. The spiral and the wave are the same thing.
that's what I was getting at. Yeah.
In a sense, you could say the human body is structured in such a way that it's going to move in spirals.
Mhm.
It's not like, oh, we invented spirals and now we all have to do spirals. No. What they did was just observe the way things move and the way things move most efficiently. Because a martial art is very practical. Right? So a movement like this is actually more efficient than just going like this. Because when I just go like this, how much of my body is involved? From about here to here. And when I do that, I can actually feel lactic acid building up in my arm in places. It's a very inefficient movement. Where if I do like this, now my whole body is involved. So I don't feel that buildup. And if I'm going to push someone, now my whole weight is behind it. It's just natural. Yeah, Kevin.
Most of us, I'll just say me for sure, is just used to experiencing sensations of your body from the skin. You're not used to feeling all your muscles and fascia and tendons and bone, moving internally. And what more and more you get into this, the more and more you can feel that going.
That is absolutely true. And then there are other levels above that. So a level, the fact that there are higher levels of definition for chi, for instance, doesn't mean the lower levels are wrong or useless. It just means there is higher understanding and then higher understanding beyond that, right? As opposed to no understanding, which is kind of the default position. So yes, when you start to become more internal, you are going to notice how your bones are structured. That is, in relationship to each other. How things feel inside. So you become much more aware of your inner physical body. The reason personally that I like the definition of Tai Chi as momentum is it's not physical, but you can still feel it. Right? I feel momentum. I can feel that in my body. Now, the truth is, you always feel it. It's just you don't pay any attention to it. Right? The thing about yoga, the word yoga is the same word as the English yoke. To yoke something together, to tie something together. So what is the yoga of silk reeling? Well, it's to feel your silk. Right? Silk is stuff. Master Zhang used to say, he didn't have much English. Somehow he came up with the term spider butt. Spider butt, because silk comes out of a spider's butt. Well, it doesn't come out of a spider's butt. It comes out of abdominal glands, right? And he should have been talking about silkworms, not spiders, but he's talking about how a spider can weave a web, right? That was his way of getting you to pay attention to the silk. Spider butt, spider butt. And we'd all crack up, because if you didn't know what was going on, you'd have no idea what he was talking about. But you feel that momentum. Now, I'm not saying you have to do silk reeling to feel the momentum. Right? You just, you're doing some sewing, and you go to pick up a pair of shears. Of course you're going to feel momentum. You're not practicing Tai Chi or Qigong, you're practicing sewing. And so you don't pay attention to what's going on because you're focused on the sewing. But what we're doing here is kind of self-sewing, right? It's like you're going to do something, but you're going to pay attention to it. You pay attention to it, and then you go, what did I just do? What is this? What is the silk that I feel inside? And how do I move it? Where does it come from? How do I move it? And then how do I move it most efficiently? If you're going to do a martial art, you better be efficient. You better be practical. Right? So you start to feel. When you, this is the first move in the form. It's the same thing. We're just turning it into an exercise. When you're pulling back, what happens to that point? Do it. Your wrists are coming back. What's that point doing?
I'm filling up.
Catherine, what did you say?
It's opening.
Yeah, it is opening actually. Yeah, but it's coming forward.
Yeah.
Right? This is coming back. If those are going back, something has to be coming forward. Otherwise, you go out of balance. You go out of harmony. These are yin actions. All right? You're consolidating. You're bringing it into your body. So something has to go out. Otherwise, try it. Try to keep this absolutely still. In fact, allow your chest to kind of sink a little bit, and then don't move it at all. Oh my God! Oh! I can hardly move. You have to use your core, your body. Maybe the most important thing about these 2 points is that they're on your midline. All right? This movement, pulling back, is only strong because of what's going on the inside. It's moving from your back to your front. Now I'm going to rest and I'm going to push out a little bit. Now what happens to this point? Open, close. Huh? And then I'm going to drop down into here. Open in the chest. Just relax the chest. Don't try to crush it or do anything like that. Just let it relax as you drop down into the daimai, especially into the back. Every exercise works the same way. All right? Some exercises, this particular function is going to be really strong. Other exercises, it's going to be much more subtle, but it's always there because it's your midline. It's you. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So when you do something like a head roll, quote unquote, a head roll or a neck roll, it's really about it's about your whole body, and especially the feet, the midline, and yeah, if we're rolling the neck, then the neck. But the neck is just like icing on the cake. You see what I mean? It's icing on the cake. It's not the cake. Icing without a cake is just a pile of sugar. You got to have the whole thing. Whole body. Down to center and reverse. Okay, what about the head itself? When you're making revolutions, like so, where does your consciousness go in relationship to the head? Watch. Where do you think my consciousness is right now? As far as the head itself goes. It's on top. That's called the Ba Wei. The Ba Wei acupuncture point. All right, now watch. Is it still in the Ba Wei?
No.
Where is it?
Yeah.
Ba Wei. I don't remember the name of this one. All right. Under the chin. Ba Wei. Under the chin. You think, well, that's sort of a silly little thing, but try it. Try it right now. Ba Wei. Under the chin. Ba Wei. Under the chin. Ba Wei. Under the chin and reverse. Ba Wei. Under the chin. Ba Wei. under the chin. Ba Hui, under the chin. Okay, when you go, for instance, it's easy to feel, when you go down under the chin, you're also going down under your own feet. You can feel the bottom of your feet. Try it. Oh, there's a connection between under your chin and the bottom of your feet. In other words, there's a connection between all the parts of your body when they go down. Right? And certain areas you can feel maybe a little more easily or a little more strongly, right? Under the chin, bottom of the feet. Also, the whole daimai, the whole daimai, right? Especially the danchen and the mingmen. Now, when you come up, oh, now I'm not feeling it under my chin, I'm feeling it in the top of my head. Now I'm not feeling it underneath my feet, I'm feeling it on top of my feet and up my legs and into my chest and the top of my head. Oh, there are two ways of being in your body. All right? One is closing, the other is opening. So we're right back to what Jill was saying at the beginning. All right? Opening, closing, opening, closing. The difference is we've added in this spiral rotation. Right? It's not really focused on the head roll or the neck. That's just a term that we use. Right? What you're really doing is spiraling open and spiraling closed. And maybe giving the neck and the head a little more workout because it usually needs it. Right? What's important is where your mind is. It's very easy to do these exercises at the beginning and not have your mind on them. Your mind is thinking about stuff you got to do later and stuff, the arguments you had with the postman and yada, yada, yada. You can't do it. This is a yoga. So you have to, your mind all right. It's $50. That's your mind. That's your chi. That's your mind. That's your chi. They're the same thing. All right. So if your mind is scattered, is not being applied correctly, you're not getting the benefit of these exercises. All right. Your mind has to be totally aware. For your mind to be totally aware of all this stuff we just talked about, it has to be clear. It has to be quiet. You have to have a quiet mind. So that you can perceive all this stuff just sort of naturally. That's what makes this a meditation. That's what makes it a yoga. All right? To have a clear mind, you have to be relaxed. You have to be relaxed and enjoying what you're doing. One more set. And reverse. and good. So one final comment. Kevin mentioned earlier being more aware of your physical innards. Yes, you will be, and you should be. So when I was just doing those, even though I've been exercising here for 2 hours now, lots of pops and cracks in my back. I was doing remodeling yesterday and lifting up sheets of plywood, etc., etc. And I really feel it this morning, right? Particularly on this side, right up in this area in the back, right? If you're not paying attention, you just run over all that stuff. If you are paying attention, oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of sore back there. Wow, that really is sore back there. You can just give it a little extra love, a little extra TLC as you go through here. What you'll find for places that are sore or maybe even have been injured is that area is going to be contracted. And you don't want to force anything because contraction is a natural reaction. But you can stretch it out just a little bit gently. And maybe next revolution, you stretch it out a little bit more, up and down, right? And what that will do is promote the flow of blood and chi through that area, which will bring some healing. All right, any questions?
No, it was good.
So this is the first exercise in the series, and we just spent an hour talking about it. And trust me, we didn't cover everything, but we covered the important things. And the thing is, guys, every exercise, every point we made applies to every exercise. All right? Okay, y'all, have yourselves a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.